Hey guys, it's Elise. Welcome back to another My Cupcake Addiction. Today I'm going to be doing the very heavily requested Shopkins cupcakes. These guys are beyond adorable, so incredibly simple, and they start with some really cute little free Shopkins cupcake wrappers that I made for you. Print those ones out on some heavy duty cardstock and we're going to use them to make some gorgeous little Shopkins cupcake wrappers. Of course you're going to need some cupcakes. I've got some of my perfectly pipeable buttercream frosting in vanilla, and then I've tinted mine. I've got some in chocolate, I've got some that I've tinted blue, and I've also got some in pink. For the blue and the pink, I've just tinted the vanilla, and the chocolate is my delicious milk chocolate frosting recipe. So I'm going to leave a link to the vanilla frosting and the chocolate frosting down below as well, so you guys can check those out if you don't have a great frosting recipe. I've also got a couple of disposable piping bags. One of them's empty, two of them are pre-filled, and I'm just using a big, fat, round, open tip piping tip. You can use any size you like here, but the bigger the better. It's going to make your swirling a little bit easier. I've got a couple of Ziploc bags. I've got a spoon, a toothpick, a pair of scissors, and I've got some sprinkles. Now for my sprinkles, I used some little multicolored sprinkles, or little round flat, I think they call them quins, and I actually separated them out. So I've got some green and some pink, and then in this little container I've got some pink and yellow, and also some longer sprinkles in pink and yellow. There's a little bit of separating to be done here, but it's definitely worth it for the overall result. Let's get started. So first up, you just want to take your scissors and we're just going to cut around the outside edge of your little templates. I've also given you a little crown, which also needs to be cut out and just affixed with some tape to a toothpick. Cutting around the outside edge of that template. And then I'm going to take a little bit of regular tape and I'm going to wrap it around the outside edge of my cupcake. Once it's wrapped around, use the tape to affix it at the back, and I always like to kind of fold the tape over itself so I get a really nice fit, and try to keep your cupcake right at the top of that cupcake wrapper so you're not getting any frosting in your little paper cupcake case. With our cupcakes all in their beautiful little Shopkins cupcake wrappers, I'm going to start with my brown chocolate frosting and also my little green sprinkles with my green Shopkins. The green and the pink are from the Cupcake Chic range, which I think were a special edition. And this little guy here is going to be Queen Cupcake, because the queen of the cupcakes, who doesn't want to make that? So I'm going to use a swirl technique, which I've showed you in some of my frosting swirl videos. If you haven't mastered the swirl, I'll leave a link down below so you can check it out. But what you want to do is you want to start in the center, come around the outside edge, and we're going to make a nice, round, smooth swirl. And then I'm going to take my green sprinkles, and I want to be a bit fussy about how these guys go on because I don't want to put tons on there, and I kind of want them to be nicely spaced out. So I'm just going to place my little sprinkles down evenly around the outside of my chocolate frosting swirl. Now before I finish up, I'm going to take just a little bit of my plain white frosting. I'm going to pop it into a Ziploc bag because I'm only doing a really small amount of detail, so I don't need a whole piping bag here. And I'm going to snip off a nice little small fine tip to fashion kind of a really small piping tip. Perfect. Now I'm going to make a really small white swirl just on the side of the top of my little green Shopkins. Perfect. Just like that. That's your first little Cupcake Chic Shopkins cupcake ready to go. Moving on now to number 2. Our number 2 Shopkins is another Cupcake Chic, so it's essentially exactly the same process. I'm going to use my blue frosting. I'm going to make a nice, big, round swirl, coming to a little bit of a point, and then I'm going to place on some of my little tiny pink circle sprinkles. And then taking my little morsel of pink frosting, and this is why you only need such a small amount of the pink, placing it into another Ziploc bag, cutting off a little tip, and once again piping just a very small mini swirl on the side of the top of our blue swirl. Beautiful. Those two guys are essentially very similar, but for our queen cupcake, she's a queen. She stands out. So we're going to do something a little bit different here. So I'm going to take a little bit of the blue frosting that I still have in my other piping bag, and I don't want too much here. And I'm just going to squeeze it down the seam of my empty piping bag. So I get a hint of blue, but not too much. All the way to the bottom. And then squeezing and dragging. Just like that, just a stripe of blue. Then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to spoon in the rest of my white. So as I spoon in, you'll see that I try not to touch the sides. And then as I get right to the tip, I can wipe it off using my fingers on the outside of the bag. This bag should be about 3/4 white with just that little hint of that blue frosting going down the side. To make sure we've got the swirl look that we want and both colours are coming out, I'm going to push them to the end of the bag, and then I'm just going to do a practice swirl in my little dish here. Perfect. Mostly white with a hint of blue. So coming over to my queen cupcake, I'm gonna do a nice high swell. And she gets a little bit of a higher swell because she's the queen, so I think she deserves it. And then you've got your sprinkles. The sprinkles for this one, I mixed long sprinkles and small sprinkles. So you can see I've got pink and yellow in sort of the longer traditional style of sprinkle, and then the little round ones. She has a lot of sprinkles, so I'm just gonna sprinkle those on. The final thing to finish off our little queen is, of course, a crown. With that crown, try to make sure that you're not letting it touch the actual frosting, because you'll find the butter from the frosting kind of gets inside that paper a little bit and discolors it. So I like to put it right down at the front, just off to the side, sort of leaning forward a bit so that it's not touching any of our buttercream frosting. There's your queen cupcake Shopkin. You've got now 3 amazing, super simple Shopkins cupcakes. Most of the work here is being done with those cupcake wrappers. So these are ones that you can make tons of. You can make them the day of the party and you're not going to be stressing out in the kitchen all day long. If you loved today's video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel for 2 new videos every week. Make sure that you check out those other recipes for the milk chocolate frosting and the MyCupcakeAddiction channel for all things sweet. As always, guys, thanks very much for watching.